Rob and Ben with you here till 7 o'clock.
Still light out. Wow.
Barely. It's cold, too.
Yeah,
Getting down in 20s every night. It's starting to feel like winter. Getting closer to Thanksgiving. But it's very hot in here. Hot stove. Talking about Juan Soto. He is meeting with the Red Sox. He's meeting with the Yankees. He's even going to meet with the Dodgers. And people are like, well, Jeff Passan saying the Dodgers are not out on Juan Soto. I'm going to tell you why. Because if you look at their forecast, even through 2029, where a lot of this money is deferred out, their payroll goes from $210 million next year down to $100 million in 2029. These are business people. Mark Walter or Walter Mark, I think it's Mark Walter, is the head guy of the Guggenheim people, and these are Stan Kasten and Irvin Johnson, Billie Jean King. These are all the people that have invested in this is an investment, people. This is not one guy that owns the. This is not Hal Steinbrenner. This is not Jerry Jones. This is just the one guy that heads up this group is worth $12 billion. I don't know how many billions Irvin Magic Johnson is worth, but he's worth a lot. When I lived in L.A., this guy owned more restaurants and more movie theaters than you could shake a stick at. Yeah. This is what they do. LeBron James, he's now involved in part owner of the Boston Red Sox. So the investment in Juan Soto would be a 26-year-old guy that we're going to have next to a guy like Shohei, next to Mookie Betts, next to Freddie Freeman. This is like a movie franchise, like Mission Impossible. Their last one is coming out now with Tom Cruise, okay? It's been going on for 20 years. Yep. So don't tell me that you're out on Juan Soto. You can't be out on Juan Soto because you can't let Juan Soto go back to the Padres or go to the Giants or go to, God forbid, go to the Mets. Okay? That's a rivalry. That would be like I don't know, The Expendables versus Mission Impossible. It's one movie against it, and having lived out there, these people's egos are such they don't want to be second fiddle. Now that you've got a taste, they spent. I just looked at this last year's payroll, 40-man roster, $350 million. Right. They spent $1 billion on two players last year, but that's over the next 12, 13 years. Yamamoto and Shohei alone. That was $700 million for one guy, $350 for another. If you think they're not willing to spend another $700, talk him into deferring it. Here's the thing I do know about Scott Boras. Scott Boras, he pits teams against each other. Scott Boras is a big shot with the Angels and the Dodgers. So he's got the ear of both ownership groups. And I know Artie Moreno and I know these people with the Dodgers, they're fighting for headlines. Artie Moreno made his money in billboards, in advertising. This guy is just, when he signed Albert Pujols for $240 million, way more than anybody else is going to pay that guy. It was not just about getting a great baseball player. It was about changing the Anaheim Angels to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Do you understand? That was the biggest thing for Artie Moreno, not Albert Pujols. And I think that they've done well. They've been able to get a piece of the L.A. market, not just thinking, and they're still an hour and a half from L.A. I had to, when I worked for Compass Media out there doing L.A. Angels games, I had to drive that, and it's a pain in the butt. But again, Artie Moreno was a advertising genius. These people are far beyond baseball. You can't even imagine that. They're on to the next thing. So Shohei has already brought back the $700 million and then some from just probably Asia and the Japanese people. That they're sitting up at 10 o'clock in the morning watching those games. Oh, yeah. Every one of them. I remember when Hideki Matsui played for the Yankees. People didn't realize they were getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning in Japan to watch those games. Whatever time it was. They had to see every Matsui at bat. That's how big it was. Then Ichiro goes to Seattle Mariners. Do you understand that this is the same thing with Juan Soto? Whoever gets Juan Soto gets to advertise Juan Soto like they do Shohei. And that's going to be the competition. So he's 26 years old, just turned 26. To have Scott Boras say the same crap he said in 2001 about A-Rod, he's a generational player. None of these guys are generational players, but he understands owner speak. Owner speak is the most bang for the dollar on this player this year. Juan Soto is this year. He is going to get $700 to $800 million, and whatever team can. And here's the thing: he's going to get way more per year annually than Shohei. Shohei backloaded his $680 million. He only wants $2 million. You know why? He gets, and we heard this from Eduardo Perez, he gets $60-70 million in endorsements.
Yeah, he's already.
Think about that. All right, to give you a little example of when Shohei was on the Angels, and the Dodgers are making way more than the Angels are because the Dodgers are way bigger. The Angels made $20 million a year in just Shohei's name. So that paid for Shohei's contract when he was an Angel. So the same things happen with the Dodgers. The Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, they will make their money back on advertising dollars because they can walk in, and Ben and I know this, they can walk in and be like, hey, we got Juan Soto. He's playing right field for the next 10 years for the Mets. That's why this price tag is going to go up because Steve Cohen and the Guggenheim people and everybody else that's involved in this know to compete in baseball. It's not about winning championships. It's about winning the press and the media and everybody talking about your players.
I totally agree, and I do think Boris is going to try to play these owners, and I totally agree with everything you're saying about the actual owners. The one thing I don't agree with is that Soto is a guy that I'm going to buy a ticket for. Now, I know there's a lot of people that will. Like Pujols and A-Rod, and I'm throwing A-Rod in because I heard the same talk of why you put him on the Yankees from the Rangers and that deal. The talk was both of those guys, Pujols to the Angels, A-Rod to the Yankees, they're going to hit these milestone home runs, and they're going to keep on these home games of 600 or 500 or 520 or wherever their milestone will be. That's stuff that's going to pack the building, and those milestone home runs might not happen that game you choose, might happen the next game or the next game. Like, I understand that box office. Shohei and Judge, same thing. I'll show up to batting practice for those dudes. I'd pay $20 to watch Aaron Judge hit 20 balls at batting practice.
Right.
I don't think I'd do that for Soto. Maybe in a couple of years, maybe if he flirts around with 60 one of these days, then I would. But right now, I just feel like your return on investment for Shohei and Judge are through the roof compared to Soto.
And I agree, 100%. Here's the thing about like Shohei. When you were trying to get Shohei to sign the $700 million deal, this was about how many eyeballs are going to be on this guy.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Aaron Judge. Had Aaron Judge gone to the Mets, that would have been a disaster. Because it's SNY versus the Yes Network, and people would have been tuning into that. I'm not a big Juan Soto fan. I think he's got a great game.
Great baseball player.
One of the worst mistakes the Red Sox have made recently was Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts was why I tuned in, and he was the guy after Pedro Martinez that I tuned into. I will buy a ticket, and I'm a former major leaguer, but I will buy a ticket to watch Pedro pitch. Or I would buy a ticket to watch, like you said, 4 at-bats. I grew up on the 4 at-bats of Reggie Jackson.
Right.
Reggie Jackson was brilliant in his day when he signed with the Angels after a certain type of gate ticket that came through, the turnstiles, he got a percentage of that money. Because those people came to watch him. He knew it. He was like an actor. He knew it. So this is the same thing. You're trying to sell me Juan Soto is like Shohei. I'm not buying. But these owners are not that smart.
Right.
Boris is so good at his job. This is why he's a genius. He will be able to say to Steve Cohen or to Mark Walter or whoever, listen, this guy's going to sell this many tickets. This is how he sold Tom Hicks on A-Rod down with the 252. The closest offer to A-Rod, and I know this because I talked to John Sherholtz shortly after, the Braves were in for 125. Boris was able to go to the Tom Hicks and say, hey, listen, Braves are in for like 200, man. You better come back. And he went to 252. And the closest offer wasn't even half of that. So this is what Boris is famous for, generational players. He's able, and then on the same thing, here's the thing that he's great on as well. Oh, and I've got another guy named Chan-Ho Park.
Just gonna bring this.
And Chan-Ho Park, man, this guy, he's a generational pitcher, but he's not he got that guy signed for $85 million. Right. Tom Hicks went broke. He ended up having to sell that team. So it's the same thing with these guys. He's going to go in there and sell you a bunch of swampland, and you're gonna buy it up. You're gonna overpay for Juan Soto. And here's the thing: I love Juan Soto. This is not his fault. This is just the way the game is played now, and it's wrong. You're getting a lot of this. Like, you think the Tigers still want Baez?
Gosh.
They wish they could get rid of Baez. You think the Rockies want Chris Bryant? Right. But these are a lot of Boris clients. Strasburg was a Boris guy with the Nationals. He sold him the same way. Here was the thing, though. Some of these guys have gotten rid of Boris and Bryce Harper and guys like, because Bryce was smart. Bryce was like, dude, you're my agent. You work for me. I tell you what I want. That's why he was able to go to the Phillies. He goes, I'm a blue-collar guy. I don't fit in here. I don't want to be a Dodger. I don't want to be a Yankee. Greg Maddux turned down more money with the Yankees to go to the Braves. Braves actually had to get rid of 2 players to get him. So the brilliance of some of these agents is to get you to buy into these guys that honestly are not worth what someone's about to pay for Soto.
Hot stove, a lot about money today. I've got 3 other money stories. One we've touched on, Tampa Bay Rays. They are not going to go to Durham. They're not going to go to Montreal. They're going to go right across the street to Steinbrenner Stadium, where the Yankees have their spring training. It holds 11,000. We all think this is a great thing for the fan base to just stick there in Tampa Bay. Plus, 11,000 total, might actually be an improvement.
Durham might be 6,500. I'm thinking. No, I think you're right. Yard goats.
Yeah, I think it's less than yard goats. Actually,
Montreal, no.
Well, you probably go to capacity for a Rays Yankees game, though. Probably right.
Well, yes, sure. And so
they'll probably drive that ticket price up.
Aesthetics wise. Tropicana, you got 5,000 people at the game. It's a ghost town. You look at Yankee Stadium in Tampa, you're going to be like, oh my God, that's great. This place is jamming with people. It's like when they do like the Field of Dreams game or any of those. You want whatever stadium it is to be full of people.
I don't know if you saw Amazon's gotten into the baseball game. Now they took all of, I think it's called Diamond Sports
That
Media,
was Bally's.
Which, yes.
And the Reds are out.
Bally's.
So the Reds are out of Bally's quickly.
But the Reds are not a part of this Amazon deal. The Reds will be taken over by Major League Baseball for their broadcast.
Until they could find somebody.
That is interesting. And they love them some Reds in Cincinnati.
Well, but listen,
Bezos
is looking at, okay, what were your ratings? How many people were actually watching? And listen, you've got Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, and if you weren't getting a lot of eyeballs there on that action,
not big markets, big markets.
It's like Shark Tank for TV.
Yes.
And
it's a shame though for the Reds, man. They need a partner. They need somebody. But
listen, I'm sure. I think the Cardinals are Bally's.
Yep.
Some of these other ones,
Diamondbacks. You got.
I was very happy last year because I saw a lot of all these other. I saw so many Tiger games, so they were Bally's. That's great for baseball. I don't care who's giving you the money. You have to be able to pay your bills. You have to be able to watch. Some of these games were blacked out because Major League Baseball couldn't pick up every game. And so I thought that this is one good thing I can say about Major League Baseball. I thought they did a nice job of picking up the slack when Bally's or Diamond Broadcast or whatever couldn't do it. So because some of these, when you're trying to compete with Fox, TBS, even the Yes Network's worth $3 to $5 billion, probably more now. That's years ago when that was Forbes did that. You can't compete with that. These are built-in people that are going to watch Yes.
Right.
That's why SNY, we're still watching Bartolo Colon's home run game.
Great game.
That's a Mets classic. We watch it all the time here in the studio. But that's a good thing. Now, once again, you're going to be angry because you're going to be like, I got to find Amazon Prime. I got to find the Reds.
I would say, though, for the baseball fan, it's more of a niche audience than the NFL fan. Like Thursday Night Football, there's going to be a lot of people pissed off tonight. They can't see the Commanders and the Eagles, and they're not going to know where to find it. They're going to learn that it's Prime. They're going to learn they don't have that, and they're going to be angry about it. The baseball fan, I think if you're a Reds fan or a Diamondbacks fan, you really go searching for that product.
Absolutely.
It is a niche demo that is going to go find that action.
I felt the XM, the Sirius XM, MLB radio games has still for 20 years been great because wherever you're driving, you can hear your team and hear your home broadcast. And I've always thought that was huge because there's always going to be the older people love to listen to radio. I still like listening to radio sometimes. I will put on these other games sometimes and turn off my TV because some of those people annoy me with their broadcasts. I'd rather listen to their radio. So I think there's always going to be baseball people that listen or watch, and it could be the Tigers. And here's the thing: when you're watching the MLB package, and it could be DirecTV or Dish or whatever, I'm gonna get the package so I can watch my Tigers. I'm gonna get the package but it's the same thing in football. Here's the thing in football. A lot more people, I think, play fantasy football than play fantasy baseball.
Yeah, correct.
And I watch so much more football. I get the football package because I have something invested in it.
Yep.
I need to see the Chargers play. I need to see the Texans play.
Yep.
I never used to be a fan like that, but now I am. And actually, it's I don't mind. I really don't mind watching more football because I love football. And sometimes you're like, hey, this is a pretty good Tennessee Titans game today.
Well, here's something else for you to spend your money on. Now, get out your wallet. These are things you're going to love, and the Christmas season is right around the corner.
Oh, no, it's big at my house already.
Ted Williams' stuff is going up for auction.
This freaks me
His
out.
daughter is putting up some stuff, man. They already had an auction not too long ago that earned them around $5 million in 2012. It's over a decade ago at Fenway Park. Now, this time around, we're selling some even cooler stuff. George H.W. Bush had given Ted
Medal of
Williams
Freedom.
Presidential Medal of Freedom that is going up for
Why do
auction.
you not keep that in your family?
I have no idea if my dad won the Presidential Medal of Freedom and I auctioned it off. I'd feel haunted. I'd feel like I couldn't sleep at night because he's going to haunt my nightmares.
Let me ask Kurt, and Kurt's a Red Sox fan. What would you want of Ted Williams if it was up for sale?
Do you know any of the items?
I don't know any of the items.
So the Medal of Freedom, the Most Valuable Player Award from 1946.
Oh, my gosh.
The silver bat that he got in 58 for the batting title. I like this thing. He had a hat during the 1999 All-Star Game in Boston.
I was there for that, and let me explain this. So he had not tipped his cap to the fans for 40 years because the media had ticked him off so much. He pulled it out of his back pocket and put it on at that 99 All-Star Game.
And the salesman that he is, it says hitter.net. Does hitter.net still exist? We'll have to look that up. But
yeah, check that.
That hat is going up for auction as
There
well.
wasn't a dry eye there. Everybody was balling. First of all, he was in a wheelchair, so they had to bring him out in a golf cart, and so he stood to talk to the fans and be in front of all the major leaguers. But you want to see some. This is right in the height of the Bash Brothers and McGuire and Sosa and all these dudes. So all these jacked up guys, and they're all balling like little kids.
A hitter.net, new website in the works, coming soon. So the website is not working anymore. The head is not a part of the auction. I know that's going through your mind right now, Curtis.
That's a collectible there.
Anything, though, that floats your boat that you would want in your mantle?
The 46, that would definitely.
The MVP?
Yeah.
I think so, too, dude. Like, God.
Any of that stuff.
Any of that stuff.
So I remember when Joe DiMaggio's family put a lot of Joe DiMaggio stuff up. He had his old World Series rings and stuff like. They even put up, which I thought was despicable, the love letters between Joe and Marilyn Monroe, and I was like sickened by that. I'm like, you know what? He would not want those to go to somebody other than in his own family. That was awful.
Bet they're worth a lot, though.
But people do anything for money sometimes, even sell their parents' stuff.
Remember that, and feel free to call 860-522-3776. I'm willing to do anything for money.
There you go. Beautifully said. Let's talk some more UConn about last night. Women's basketball is coming up this weekend, as well as let's talk about some of the UConn guys that are in the NBA. What did they actually do last night, if any of them played? We know about Kling, and we'll talk some more about him when we come back as well. It's Rob, Ben, Kurt, Nick. We'll be right back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell after this.